tweets with pictures on the side. I can tell you the executive chairman, Klaus Schwab, has not yet tweeted, but I'm giving him the opportunity, so whenever he decides to tweet, he can do so. He has started since Twitter became so topical. He has started to send out a daily Good Morning Forum email, but he has said he can't capture his thoughts in 140 characters. What we did at the annual meeting in Davos in the beginning of this year, we had 2,500 participants. And I have searched the entire participants list for people on Twitter, and I found 250. 10% of the participants in Davos are on Twitter, so I grouped them in a Twitter list. We threw this Twitter list up on a Twitter wall, and it was amazing to see the direct reactions from participants on this Twitter wall. So that's something I wish, even here the Marketing2.0 conference would do also next year, because there were quite a lot of tweets here. It was quite difficult to follow. So who's on Twitter? Twitter is mainly for stars and politicians. Barack Obama had a great tweet after he won the Nobel Peace Prize, in one word, humble. Unfortunately, it wasn't himself who tweeted this, which made it a bit of a shamble. Schwarzenegger is governor of California, is on Twitter. Once again, it's not himself who's tweeting to his 1.6 million followers, but it's his team. Number 10 Downing Street. The British government is on Twitter, as is the British royal household. Here, interesting link back to the press conference. It shouldn't be called a press conference, because anybody can watch it on the Number 10 website, and maybe one day anybody can also will be allowed to ask questions. Here it's not the Prime Minister, of course, who's tweeting himself. In France, and I can announce you exclusively, I've heard last night that the French presidency on Monday will also be officially on Twitter. So let's see what they do. At least there's one person who is on Twitter, is Nathalie Kosciusko-Morizet, the State Secretary for Digital Affairs. She has 40,000 or 42,000 followers. She her party just lost the election, so a thank you to everybody who helped her. It goes down to the local level in Alsace, where the right-wing party won, as Philippe Richer is on Twitter. He even tweeted in German yesterday and saying, "Jetzt geht's los," now where the action starts. So politicians are using this. Britney Spears, of course, is using Twitter, or let's say her team. And what are they using Twitter for? To debunk media reports. So basically it's the bullshit alert. See what bullshit the National Enquirer is printing now and sending back to the website. So interesting way how she does her own media, she does her own reports, debunking the false report that are in the press. Britney Spears is the second most popular Twitter account. She has 4.6 million followers. One person who is my digital queen is Queen Rania of Jordan. She's on Twitter and she's personally tweeting. When she learned that Bill Gates was also on Twitter, she sent a very public tweet saying, "Hi Bill, nice to see you here. Hope we'll get a chance to meet up in Davos." Now this, ladies and gentlemen, this is a revolution. For the very first time, she just tweets her appointments publicly. Normally, her household would contact the Gates Foundation and they would make a meeting in Davos, and we wouldn't know about this. Now this is very, very public. So this is something very interesting. Bill Gates did not reply officially or publicly to her. Maybe he sent her a direct message. He uses Twitter to report where he's traveling. So he was in Antarctica a couple of weeks ago, and he's sending readers mainly, or his followers mainly, to his blog, where he reports about, where he says what he feels, his passions, etc. What is interesting here? What does it mean for the man on the street? Is that anyone, you, me, anyone who's on Twitter can now send an official tweet, a public tweet, to all our stars, to politicians who are on Twitter. That is amazing. Maybe you think they won't read it. Yes, they will read it. Their teams will read it. If it is relevant, they will answer, I can assure you. So, you know, coming to the CEOs, Richard Branson is one of the most well-known CEOs in the world of Virgin. He also is interesting here. He's sending his Twitter followers back to traditional media because he was just writing a syndicated column for the New York Times. So it's interesting, the crossover. Traditional media, especially the New York Times, is still very, very influential. There are other stars like Lance Armstrong, the cyclist. He was in Paris last night, and he even twit-picked his way home from this restaurant which he likes. He has also over 1 million followers. Paulo Coelho is one of the most interesting persons on Twitter. He's also tweeting personally. I know Paulo, and Paulo always tells me I have to be more conversational. And Paulo is so conversational. Here he replies to Yaras Habi, that he says, I love your wallpaper, and of course there's a wallpaper. This person has a wallpaper depicting Paulo Coelho. Paulo's tweets are very, very conversational, and that's exactly what I think people should do on Twitter. Twitter is something that CEOs should do, and I think Evan Williams, the founder, shows us how to do it. Last week, after his Q&A at the tech conference in Austin, South by Southwest, the back channel on Twitter said, oh, what boring moderator, and what boring questions. So he said, okay, I've heard you, go ahead, fire off your questions, I will answer 10. And these questions, his answers to those questions then appeared on blogs and in traditional media. So Evan Williams showed how to go straight to your followers, to the general public, and do a very, very official short Q&A. Another famous example of a